Thursday, August 16th, 2018. Got to put the date on these things because lots of people will watch these things and sit there and go, "You're wrong. This happened this way." I predicted it before the season started. We're going to get into the NFC predictions for the 2018 NFL season. I did a video, AFC predictions for the 2018 NFL season. So if you want to know what I'm predicting for that, there's a video over there somewhere on the site or something. It's there on my channel. And if anybody watched it, they'll know that the AFC didn't seem to have a lot of wins. There was a team that makes it into the playoffs with an 8-8 record. And I did it, see? I wrote down all the records. I went through one day while I was watching a game and just decided I was going to go through each individual week and go, this team wins, this team loses. This team wins, this team loses. This team wins, this team loses. Now, I didn't keep track of who won and who lost necessarily in head-to-head matchups. Because, as we all know, our favorite teams will win games they're not supposed to, and they'll lose games they're not supposed to. I don't know how many times I've watched the Broncos and said, they're totally going to win this game. They're favored by 17.5 points. They're going to kill them. What? They lost? How? And then there'll be games that's like, I don't even know if I want to watch this, but I'm going to watch it because they're my team. And then you watch it's like, they won! Yeah! So, we're going to do this. We're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. This is my fun face. But let's go ahead and start with the NFC East. This one, who do I think is going to... These are the records. Giants 11-5. Philadelphia 11-5. Washington 6-10. Dallas 8-8. Now you're sitting there saying to yourself, well, wait a minute. You got the Giants at 11-5 after they had that terrible season last season? I think this is a rebound year. I think the defense bounces back. I think Eli has a better season than he did last year, only because Saquon Barkley will give him somebody running behind him that'll take a little bit of pressure off of him. If Odell Beckham gets the money he wants, he'll be a happy Odell Beckham. And remember, all these predictions are if there are no injuries. This is a magical, happy place that doesn't exist, where it's like everybody's healthy the whole season and nobody loses any of their stars. So these are predictions based on basic, because I can't predict who's going to get hurt. I just don't know. Except for the one season I predicted that Romo would get hurt, and I predicted he'd get a collarbone hurt. So now I don't want to make those predictions anymore. I don't want to be right on that kind of stuff. So I have the Giants at 11-5 and Philadelphia at 11-5. I have the Giants actually winning that division in a tiebreaker. I think that the Giants will, whatever the tiebreakers come down to, I think the Giants eke out the Eagles. The Eagles will still have a strong season, but being the defending champions, they're going to have a target. But Carson Wentz, I believe, will bounce back or have a great season again like he was having last year until he got hurt. Dallas, I think 8-8. I just think that team is mediocre. They're just an average team. They have some good things and they have some bad things. I think Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott are both solid players. I really do. The defense is average, though. The offensive line is underperforming. And the wide receivers right now they're not as good as they could be. Of course, they weren't that great last year. And even the tight end position isn't strong. So this puts more pressure on Dak Prescott, more pressure on Ezekiel Elliott, and more pressure on that offensive line to open up holes and protect Dak. So 8-8. And then Washington is 6-10. I am not an Alex Smith fan. I have never been an Alex Smith fan. I believe he is one of the most overrated, mediocre quarterbacks I've ever seen. That's just the way I feel. Even when he got drafted by the San Francisco 49ers, I kept saying you should take Aaron Rodgers. They didn't want Aaron Rodgers. They wanted Alex Smith. Kansas City brought in Alex Smith. There was a season Alex Smith didn't throw a touchdown to a wide receiver. He played all 16 games and didn't throw a single touchdown to a wide receiver. That means you've got a quarterback that does not throw deep, or he doesn't do it enough. He is constantly checking down. Even Andy Reid pointed out in one of his little press conferences, he says, we are not going to check down as much this year. Meaning that he believes Pat Mahomes will try to get the ball down the field, whereas Alex Smith, I mean, the reason I think the reason the tight end was such a superstar there is because he was always throwing it to him. The wide receivers the last couple of years have had decent seasons, But let's face it, Alex Smith does not like to throw the ball downfield a lot. He loves to just dump it. And that's one of the reasons that Kansas City was, you never were going to look at Kansas City's not going to win a Super Bowl. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with Alex Smith at the helm unless you've got the 85 Bears defense or the Ravens defense or even that Bronco defense from a few years ago. You're not going to win a championship with Alex Smith. And this Washington defense is not those defenses. So 6-10 if they're lucky. I just don't believe in Alex Smith. The next will be the NFC North: Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, and Chicago. I have Detroit at 4-12. I don't see where that team's going to get the wins. I mean, even after I'm looking at this, I'm going, wow, I really didn't have them winning a lot of games. I have Chicago at 7-9. I think Trubisky still got a little ways to go. There's even questions on whether or not he's going to be the guy. But another season under his belt. Defense still isn't a typical Chicago defense. Minnesota, I have him at 10-6. I think Minnesota takes a step back only because they're going to be a known commodity. It's not that I don't think that. It's not that I don't think that Kirk Cousins isn't going to be good there. It's just I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to be great there. I still think Kirk Cousins is basically maybe a slightly better Case Keenum, and I'm not going to put him as a slightly better anything yet until I see him play on a good team. And maybe Minnesota surprises me, and maybe this is the season that Cousins really shines through, because he has a really good defense there. But I still predict Minnesota 10 wins, 6 losses. And Green Bay 12-4. Green Bay's going to win this thing. If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy the whole year, Rodgers looks laser focused. He wants this. He knows he's running out of seasons. He's starting to get, he's starting to be on the downside of his career, of the years that he's going to play. He's not at his peak, but he's still one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, and I'll take him on my team all day long. In my opinion, he is, if on a couple things I have him rated higher than Brady, and there's a couple things that, to me, they're 1 and 1, 1A and 1B. I mean, I don't know who you would take, but it's like if you gave me either one, I'd be happy. But Green Bay wins the division. Then you have the NFC South. I have Tampa Bay at 3-13. I think this team is going to struggle. I really do. I just think this team is going to have a rough year. Atlanta at 7-9. I believe that Atlanta is going to come back to the pack. I think last year they played. I think they struggled a little bit in the beginning of the season, picked it up towards the end. They had the really good run a couple of years ago, but I think that this team now is. I think 7-9 is where they're going to end up. New Orleans 8-8. I'm sorry, that team snuck up on us last year, and I don't think really many people thought New Orleans was going to be as good as they were, because they didn't really have that good of wide receivers, or the skill position players kind of surprised, especially their running game. Who knew they had a running game like that? Well, that's not going to surprise anybody this year. So I think New Orleans and Drew Brees being another year older, I think that team, and once again, some of these teams, the reason you see some of these teams regress, they aren't going to sneak up on you. New Orleans is not going to sneak up on anybody this year. It's like you're going to look at them and go, we got to take them seriously. And when you take them seriously, I think a lot of teams will tend to beat them. So 8-8. Carolina 10-6. I think this is a big bounce back year for Carolina. I really do. I think that Cam Newton, even though I'm not a huge fan of his on the field antics or his sideline antics more than anything, I still think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I really do. He can create with his legs. He's powerful. He's a strong dude. And I think that Carolina always puts him in positions to succeed. They know how to coach him, and they know how to coach around him to put him in the best situation possible. So I have him going 10-6 because I think a lot of people are going to underestimate Carolina, and Carolina having a really good quarterback will lead to more victories than a lot of people will think. So I'll give Carolina that division win. That'll leave us with the NFC West. I have Arizona going 4-12. Once again, I think this team's going to struggle. I really do. It's not that I don't think that they're a great team, but when one of your best receivers is Larry Fitzgerald and he's lost a step, last year he was still one of their best wide receivers. I think that team needs a lot of help at the skill positions. Even if they go with the young quarterback as their starter for the whole season, he's going to struggle. It's not that I don't think he'll be good. I just think he'll struggle. That takes me to Seattle at 6-10. Seattle's lost a lot of players. Losing Sherman, I think Cam Chancellor wants to retire, or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but they've lost a lot of pieces on defense and they haven't really replenished it. Russell Wilson is still solid as your starting quarterback, but I believe that there's going to be a much bigger uphill battle and that defense is going to have a lot more holes in it. So I think Seattle won't be able to hold people with lower scores to give Russell Wilson a chance to really just shine. And this is going to force Russell Wilson to throw a lot more often. I still don't think the running game is good enough, and I think Seattle will struggle, especially in this division. San Francisco, I have them 10-6. And I know what you're thinking. You're just like, this is another quarterback. We've got a very small sample size. But what I saw of Garoppolo, I like. And so maybe I'm a little bit too much on the bandwagon here, but I like what I saw of Garoppolo. Now, it's like I got a buddy that's a huge San Francisco 49ers fan, and he's like, no, he's not going to be I don't know, he's only been in 6 games or 7 games, whatever the case may be. It's like, I don't think, I don't know. San Francisco 49ers, it's not my team, so I'm good to go all in and say Garoppolo's going to be great. So I don't have to sit there and worry that it's like, oh no, it's like if I say they're great and they're not, oh no, my favorite team lost. No. If they have the complete opposite season and go 6-10, doesn't affect me in the least. Sorry. But it's like I'll just go, I was wrong. Oh well. It's like San Francisco's not one of my favorite teams. So, but I still think they built something there. And Kyle Shanahan with Garoppolo and Lynch in the front office, I really think that 10-6, they are going to be very good this year. And that leaves me at the Rams at 13-3. I think the Rams are going to be the class of the field in the NFC. I think they've added a lot of pieces. Now, I know they've added a lot of volatile pieces, but they're all very good football players, and I've seen a lot of them put football in front of their volatility. And then Talib puts his volatility everywhere. So it doesn't matter whether it's in front of football or behind football. But I love that Rams team. I think that with Goff and Gurley, Todd Gurley, that team's got their, and on defense they are stacked. On offense, I think they're going to be better than they were last year. So they'll have the number 1 seed. The number 2 seed will be Green Bay at 12-4. At the 3 seed will be the Giants at 11-5. The 4 seed will be Carolina at 10-6. The 2 wild cards, Philadelphia will make it in at 11-5. And San Francisco get in at 10-6. The omission that you're going to see there, Minnesota loses a tiebreaker to San Francisco, and they miss the playoffs. So that would lead us to the 3-6 matchup would be the Giants versus the San Francisco 49ers. I predict the Niners will upset them in New York. And then you're going to have, that would leave you with the 4 seed versus the 5 seed in the next playoff game. That'll be Carolina versus Philadelphia. Carolina might have it would be 4-5. Carolina will have home field advantage. Once again, road team wins. Philadelphia beats them. They're just a better team. So that leaves us with the 6 seed San Francisco facing the Rams in LA. Rams will destroy them. This is where San Francisco's magic season ends. And that leaves us with Philadelphia versus Green Bay. I like Aaron Rodgers. But Philadelphia's cold, Green Bay is cold. Philadelphia won't fear the cold. Philadelphia will also win that game. Green Bay is a good Aaron Rodgers. So I believe Aaron Rodgers in the regular season will get him a great record, but I think when they have to face the defending Super Bowl champions will beat them. And that leaves us with Philadelphia at the Rams, and I'm going to say the Rams make it to the Super Bowl. I think this is Goff's year. Last year, Wentz got to be there. Unfortunately, he didn't get to play, which was too bad. But Foles came through amazingly. But this will be Goff's chance to get his Super Bowl ring. And Goff will go in against the Steelers. And if I've got to predict now, because I got the Steelers from the AFC winning, and I've got the Rams going in, and I'm taking the Rams. I think the Rams are going to win it this year. I think the Rams are going to get the first Super Bowl win. Or for in LA, I guess is a better, because they won in St. Louis. You know, they had really good teams there with the greatest show on turf. But I think they're gonna get them again, and the LA will get to have that. They'll get to have that parade for that football team. And I'm trying to think, because the LA Rams and the LA Raiders. You know, maybe the LA Raiders did win in '83. I can't really remember. But the LA will get a NFL. They'll get an NFL parade championship because the Rams are going to bring it to them. So the weird part was, as me and my buddy Sean, and I'm going to release this video at some point. I forgot that I haven't put it up yet. But we did a video where we predicted our division winners and who would win this and who would go to the Super Bowl. Now remember, I'm just doing this, going through putting wins and losses. I'm just going, that team will win, that team will lose, and I'm not really paying attention to how the wins and losses are going up and who's really. But it's weird. The teams I predicted in that video, I got them here too. So it's like, even given these are obviously the teams I just really believe are going to be the best teams in the NFC and the AFC respectively. So the San Diego one might be a little off, and maybe the San Diego one might be a little bit off. I'm not sure if I had San Diego making the playoffs. But, you know, what do you think? I mean, I'd love to hear what you have to say. I know that there are probably a lot of people that disagree with me on Minnesota and New Orleans. Probably a lot of people disagree with me. Probably a lot of people are going to disagree with me on how good I think San Francisco is going to be. But hey, let me know. I want to hear. I'd love to hear your theories on it, because you had to listen to mine, or you chose to listen to mine. I appreciate that. So with all that being said, to the troops, past, present, and future, thanks for the freedom.